Okay, so this minister was going down the road and he saw this boy. There was a trailer and there was a load of hay the side of the trailer, and he was shoveling hay back onto the trailer. And the minister stopped and he said, "You look like you could use a break." And the boy said, "I can't. My dad would not like that." And so the minister said, "Well, everybody deserves a break and all. I think you should go ahead and take one. It doesn't matter what your dad thinks. Don't overwork." And he said, "Sir, I can't. My dad would not like that." And he said, "Well, you know what? I'd like to talk to your dad. I think he needs to hear from me, and I want to give him a piece of my mind. Where is your dad?" And the boy said, "He's under the hay."
PTSA, the original one, with Leon Prickett, and my partner at that time, Earl Bell, I think in 73, 74. That's a stretch for my poor little brain.
We joined TBSA.
I think it was TSBA, but I don't know. It was the newest of the two.
TSBA.
I was a member of PTSA.
And then the TSBA, as soon as Dale Kringen got everybody together and we started that one, I was there on the first one. Probably looking at 1978, maybe, before 80.
My dad belonged to PTSA. So eventually I started going to PTSA meetings also. It was just, it was really great being able to share that with my dad.
Well, the fun group was the very first one. That was the PTSA, and it was really an idea from Leon Prickett.
The SBA was labeled the education group.
Networking, because we were looking for assistance as well as working with other people, and to offer our services to them, which we have worked together, as you know, with numerous of the members.
I thought I knew something. I knew how to do one trucking company, but I didn't know how to apply for authority. I didn't know how to get all kinds of permits from all over. I didn't know how to get a title for a truck, but that was about it.
I was new to the business, and I saw it in a little newspaper article that they were having a convention in Dallas, and I wanted to learn more and know more about my business from others and have a resource.
It was a way of seeing or talking to those people again. Kind of put together a telephone list that wasn't available to anybody at the time.
I needed contacts. I needed people that I could call and say, "Help, this is what I need. What do I do?"
Networking, and also as a way of us becoming a big enough group that we could have some kind of influence with the different states and the federal government.
Listen, at the time I just wanted some interaction with a peer group, that I felt like I could maybe share what I knew and learn what I didn't know, and it worked out really well.
Kind of to make it uniform, the states all had different requirements as far as the record keeping was going, whether you could go and have some of it electronic or not. We were the first agency to have a computer system that recorded all of the historic information on travel.
Back in those days, everything wasn't online like it is now.
Yeah.
To be able to make things easier, to be able to access and get done. And, I can't really say that TSBA did that, because now it's just a whole different world now than it was then.
Okay, I think the goals of the association then were to all of us get as much knowledge as we could, and to share that knowledge and find a way to use that knowledge to better the industry.
Those additional resources was my goal, was to be able to grow my business. And also at that time I did truck insurance too, and I much prefer being around transportation professionals.
I believe that my dad and I were the instigators of that.
Dale was really the push behind the two of them coming together. The original organization wasn't really for it.
Well, I think it just made sense to do it. We were trying to accomplish a lot the same thing.
Why go to two different conferences? Sometimes we want the same speakers. Why it's harder to get a speaker if they've already gone to the other conference. It just made more sense to merge them together and make one bigger group.
Also, believe it or not, had some pressure from the Canadian agencies because they felt left out because they said we're Americans too. So that's how it came out to be North American.
So we tried to, that's when we did the merger, like with Paul St. Pierre, Earl and all that, worked together. There was me, I was involved with that, Bob, Kevin Donovan and all that. So to make the merger together, so trying to grow the group.
With more participation, they could do a better job representing the trucking industry.
The annual meeting, we always had a presentation from one of the states to highlight, what that state's doing for the industry.
The first few that I went to, we just went state by state. Okay, what's Alabama's requirement? What's Arizona's requirement? And what do you need? And I kind of wrote my own manual for each state.
So meeting in the past was good because we used to get a lot of people from the state, the actual state themselves, and we have a lot of, good contacts. What we found in the later years was mostly suppliers.
Trying to sell.
You sat through speakers. In Portland, I remember we actually went out to Cascade Locks to the scales and got to sit in the scales and watch the truckers go through.
It's amazing to get to visit that and to see how it actually works. And we did things like that were educational. It gave us hands-on experience of what our truckers deal with.
Usually it was the owners and their spouses. Boy, my names are really bad right now.
The ones that had been in the industry for years, not the people that were working on the front lines who needed new information.
The treasurer at the time, Tommy Fife, the treasurer for a great number of years.
Jerry Powell, because they were very big in the...
Yeah, he was president in the past.
Other people are gone because, like my dad and Leon Prickett, Tommy Prickett's dad. Speaking of his cousin also, he was in Texas. Arch Pickens maybe was his name.
I think the most helpful person to have ever put NATSA together had to be Bob Sanf. I mean, he was always for it and gave us a lot of information on why we should do it and would never, ever turn down not helping.
I can remember, I think Dave was vice president at that time, and that was when single state registration was just somebody's dream. And I know for at least 2 or 3 years, he kept telling us, we need to look into this. We've got to get our foot in the door to help. And we did end up having representatives at the single state registration organization thing where they put it into place. And without him, we wouldn't have known anything about it.
Got to serve as vice president of both organizations and president of NATSA and treasurer of NATSA. Was on the board 2 or 3 different times and all. And so that was a good deal. Dixie and Dave and now Millard have done a great job of doing that. So
I can remember actually using an atlas and figuring out miles for IFTA and IRP, and it wasn't fun. And now, as many trucks are on the road, people that are keeping track don't have time to do it that way. Using the satellite mapping, and I'm sure there's new things since I retired, those can be a great benefit. We can't reinvent the wheel every time we turn around.
And to think of the lady's name that was the past president that had a business in Missouri, right across the Kansas state line. It was really strange because her business was in Missouri, house was in Kansas. And she actually lost an hour one time during the year to go to work. To gain an hour when she went home. She said, it works out real well.
Remember the bull? Everybody riding the bull?
Yeah. I missed
What?
out on a lot of that because I was busy selling, but I came in, I think, it wasn't a bull, it was a chicken. Right?
No, it was a bull.
Riding the bull.
Riding the bull. Wasn't that in Mississippi? Was it in Mississippi?
I think so.
I think it was, because we all got crazy on it and we're throwing off and all this jazz. Like, that was a lot of fun, eh? Everybody had a great time with that.
And I wonder who instigated the bull.
One thing I remember about Portland was that was a fun one for me because both my daughters were working for me, and one of my daughters actually organized the whole Portland meeting, and many people told her it was like the best meeting they'd ever been to. She really did a good job of it. But I remember the officers had to get up in front of everybody at one of the dinners and dance to the YMCA song.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Oh, I'm going to pitch that this year.
And then we can always ask Bob to tell the story about the pink flamingos. We brought this recipe for pink flamingo drinks.
Put it this way, with all the group that night, okay, I went to 2 40 ounces of gin.
I think it has got to be fabulous. And the reason I say that is I know the quality of the leadership you have. You, Dave, brought so many new ideas to the group, and you follow through on things. You don't just talk about them and let them fly away. You know, a lot of people can talk about all these things, but they don't have any follow through, and you guys do.
A lot of it is going corporate, right? So you're in that swing right now of all the corporate, getting all the little guys out. And it'll probably be another 5 years before you see another change in that industry. Eh? So
I think it's a lot more professional than when we ran it way back when.
IFTA and IRP recognize who we are. I'm not that involved in NATSA now, but I feel like they probably ask people from NATSA their opinions on things. I just think it's really gone in the right direction for our industry.
We moved from just being kind of stale and meeting once a year to being aggressive all year long. And so I feel like NATSA has become a real force in the industry.
That it's never too late to learn and to keep your mind open to new procedures and new opportunities.
That it was a heck of a lot different and harder to do back then, and that we have progressed an awful lot. And a lot of people think that it's still archaic and what have you, at least, you know, from what I hear.
They need to remember where they came from. And they've come a long way. They need to just expand on what they've started so well.
what's the history behind that you can pass on and have a little bit of a legacy too, right?
The thing we need to do is just make sure we stay involved and just really offer our services to each other and to the industry.
There's always opportunity. You just have to find it.
You know, you always get the picture of here's the president of this trucking company, and he's a big guy with boots on and, you know, a Western shirt and hat. But that's the way we've been looked at forever. So, when speaking as trucking shirts.
All I would say is just keep going forward and upward and take time to still be the fun group, because those times are fun to be together and associate together and to laugh together and enjoy that too. And when people have tough times, it's good to be there to support each other, you know. So.
But you know what the best part is? The friendships. Because you know that you can call one of your friends from NATSA and they'll bend over backwards to help you with whatever problem you have. And that's pretty amazing.